So hello everybody and welcome to my Get a Life moment with myself, Lisa Davies, and today I am joined by Emma Dawson, who is a life and mindset coach with a particular interest in manifesting a magical life. So Emma, who is Emma Dawson? Tell us all about yourself.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I'm a life and mindset coach, and like you said, I have a particular interest in manifesting because over the last 7 years I have used the law of attraction to completely change my whole life. So it was almost 8 years ago to the day that my first husband walked out and left me with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I went from living in a very nice house in a very nice town in Essex to living in a 2 up, 2 down damp house, 3 doors down from a questionable pub, I think across the road from a brothel as well, to be honest. Single mom, living on benefits, wondering how my life had been flushed down the toilet quite so rapidly. And it was then that my dad actually gave me a copy of The Secret on DVD, in amongst a load of other stuff. I don't really know if it was his intention to give it to me, but I watched it and I was equal parts mind blown and skeptical at the same time.
Oh, we like a bit of healthy skepticism, don't we? So was your dad of that mind, or did it just it was just an accidental thing that it happened to pop in there for you?
Oh no, my dad's an entrepreneur at heart, and was in the middle of a new business venture, and this kind of DVD came along with some other stuff that he'd received as part of that.
Right.
And I think he thought it might help me. I was really sad. I think is the best way to describe how I was feeling. Just really, really sad and wondering how I was ever going to put my life back together with 2 small children, how I was ever going to work in any kind of meaningful way, how I was going to raise my girls on my own. I really had absolutely no idea. I was surviving. I wasn't living, I was just surviving day to day, and I didn't know how to take my life forward in any way at all.
So obviously that was, your world was turned upside down. I mean, you'll probably see that I do a lot of storytelling with tarot cards. So for me, that's a tower moment where all of your foundations have just been like struck with lightning, and the whole of your foundations have been taken away from which you rebuild. So your dad gave you this DVD, you watched The Secret, you got this kind of wow moment, but you'd also got this skepticism. Really? Does that really work? So how did you move yourself from that place to build from that place to where you are now?
So I actually started with a gratitude journal, and it was very begrudging to start with, pen almost going through the paper as I was writing. I'm really grateful for my house, through gritted teeth. But I was determined to, give it a go. I really didn't know what else to do. And I just wanted this weight that I was carrying around to be lifted in some way. And over time, over the course of a few months, the gratitude really started to shift my perspective on everything. And improved everything from my relationship with my girls to my relationship with my ex-husband and his new girlfriend, and then magical things started to happen. So I found a part-time job, and I was at the time I was working in HR, and it's not easy to find part-time HR jobs. They don't really exist. And I was like, it'd be really nice just to work like 9:30 till 2:30, 4 days a week, and that's the exact job that I found. And then I was like, I'd really like to move house, and suddenly the perfect house came up. And the landlord, by his own admission, said he wouldn't normally rent to a single parent who was being supported by benefits. And even when I moved out a few years later, he was like, I still don't know why I agreed to rent it to you. So all these kind of magical things started to happen, and then I thought, maybe there's really something in this. So I started to read a lot more about the law of attraction and, diving into the whole personal development world. And then I thought, I'm going to put it to the ultimate test. So I was still single. This was like a couple of years in. And I was like, I'd really like to meet somebody. I'd done a little bit of dating, which was depressing. I think it's the only word I can use to describe my dating experiences. But I don't want to date, but I want somebody. And I was determined I was not going to settle. I was not going to compromise on what I wanted. So I wrote a massive list of everything that I wanted from my next relationship. And on the end of that list, I wrote the thing that was going to be a real deal breaker. And I put they had to love my girls as much as I did. And that's a big deal. Like, you know, I think being a step parent is actually harder than being a parent.
Yes, yeah. It brings its own rewards, but it brings its own challenges.
Yeah. So I knew that for somebody to, you know, to ask for that, I knew that was a big deal, but I also knew that I wasn't going to settle for anything less than that. And then I just surrendered it. I let it go and got on with life. And actually the first time that somebody tried to introduce me to my now husband, I actually said no, because I was like, I'm not interested. I'm waiting for Mr. Right. I'm not interested in meeting him. But luckily the universe and my friend was persistent.
That he was actually, in fact, Mr. Right.
He was actually. And it wasn't until we'd been together about 3 months, I think, and I found this piece of paper, and it literally, I had to sit down on the bed when I read it, because it was, I could have written it about Andy. It was just him down to a T. It was amazing. So then I was like, okay, yeah, this works. What next?
Yeah. And I think that's the key part in any manifesting process, isn't it? That you surrender it to the universe.
Yes,
that's a key
absolutely.
part of surrendering it to the universe.
Yes.
I think I read once by John Asraf, who was in the early movement of the law of attraction, and I saw something about he'd stuck a picture of a house that he really wanted to bring into his life, and then a couple of years later he was unpacking moving boxes into his new house, only to see a picture of the house he'd just moved into. So it really does work, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, you know, a lot of people think that surrender's about passivity, but it's not. It's about, you know, you still have to take action. You still have to, you know, put yourself out there and leave your comfort zone and all of those things. But it's about doing it without expectation. And it's about handing over the how and just trusting your intuition.
So how did you move from all of that, and obviously manifesting your gorgeous husband who met all of your criteria on your very long list?
It was a long list.
How did you move from that then to what you're doing now, which is helping other people bring this joy into their life?
So it was about 3 years ago that I'd left my corporate HR job, and I was sort of playing around with an online blog and sort of trying to do some affiliate marketing, when I came across a mindset coach who I'd never really been aware of the coaching world before, and she literally blew my mind, and I knew instantly this is what I want to do. So because I've always been one for when my intuition tells me to move, I move, and I move really, really quickly. So I remember coming downstairs and saying to my husband, I'm going to be a life coach, and I'm going to do this course now, then, so you need to look after the kids. And he was just a bit like, what? What were you doing on there? So I retrained as a coach. I did my training to be a coach, and then started my business. But my business has really gone on a massive journey. I started like doing mindset coaching, then I moved more into business coaching, and that really wasn't the right fit for me. And then it was about a year ago, I think, that I first started teaching like the law of attraction and manifesting. It took quite a lot I felt like I had to kind of like come out of the spiritual closet almost to be able to teach it. But since I have, in the last year, my business has just blossomed in a way that I couldn't possibly have imagined, which again is another sign that you're on the right track. The universe always supports you and gives you so much more than you could have hoped for when you're on the right path.
You're just in flow with the universe, aren't you? In flow with that energy. But it's interesting though that nothing's ever wasted if it's recycled. You know, you say you kind of took that little sort of detour into business, and but it's trying different things on for size, and that's okay, isn't it?
Absolutely. And a lot of what I learned whilst I was doing that, I use in my own business. And part of my business now is coaching and mentoring new coaches. It's one of my favourite parts of my business. So actually having a really broad understanding of how to create a business, particularly in the online space, is really, really helpful. So, you know, I learned so much. It's just that wasn't my path, but actually it still helps me in so many different ways now.
Yeah. So what is the typical type of person that you might work with now with more of this mindset coaching in terms of law of attraction? Who is attracted to you for this type of work?
Well, as is always the case, and I'm sure you'll probably find this, you attract kind of yourself like a year or 2 years ago. So I'm like I was a serial worrier. I spent a long time battling having like no self-confidence, no self-belief, really wanting to hide away. I mean, I could not have picked a more difficult path for myself, which is probably why I ended up picking it, really. So yeah, I tend to work with women who are struggling with self-confidence, self-belief, but who have a really big vision, and want to create something amazing, something that feels purposeful, but they want to do it on their terms. So they want to get rid of the overwhelm. They want to get rid of feeling like they're living into everybody else's expectations. They want to get rid of all those shoulds that they're doing in their life that are just draining them, and they just want to live as their authentic self. But they want to create something. They want that financial independence, and create a business that's got some meaning and some purpose behind it.
Yeah. And you've created something quite magical just recently, haven't you? With your first book. So tell us about that.
Yes, I'll just go show you a little picture.
Oh, look at that. In its gorgeousness. It's full gorgeous. It's full manifested beautifulness.
Yes, I know. It's funny when you've had something in your head that manifests into reality. You know, it literally arrived through my letterbox like about the 500 other books that I've ever bought. But I was like, oh my gosh, I actually wrote this one. So it's a 28-day journal, and it guides you through the process of manifestation, because whilst I love all the spiritual side and the woo-wooery, I'm actually a very practical person at heart. So I love having things that you can do that are going to anchor in those new beliefs, that are going to help you to get into alignment, and the things that are going to help you to release what's holding you back, to clear those energetic blocks. So it takes you through a 28-day process with lots of journaling, lots of action prompts that are just going to help you to manifest anything that you desire, and help you to like co-create this ideal life that you want to be living.
So if somebody was watching this now and they were like you were a few years ago, where they're like, wow, that sounds amazing, but also thinking, yeah, right, I'm a bit cynical about that, what would be your advice to them, Emma?
Oh my gosh, give it a go, jump in. Because at best, you're going to feel happier if you're leaning into gratitude and clearing some of these negative thoughts that kind of plague so many of us. And, you know, at best, you're going to, at worst, you're going to do that. At best, you know, you're going to start to create this dream life for yourself. So, you know, you've really got absolutely nothing to lose by choosing to do things on a daily basis that are going to make you feel happier.
So obviously you've manifested yourself a wonderful husband. You've manifested yourself a wonderful, inspiring, purposeful business. You've now manifested yourself a real life book that you saw in your mind's eye, and now you can hold it in your hands. What's next?
Oh my gosh. So I'm writing another book. An actual book, which I'm very excited about, and lots more business projects. So I'm working with another coach on a project which is Inspire and Ignite, which is about bringing women together to create a space for personal growth, which I'm really, really excited about. And just continuing to grow my business, grow my online community. And I don't plan, like I'm a serial planner, so this is all surrender. Like surrender is quite a new process for me. But I now just try and let my intuition guide me to what the next thing is that I'm going to be doing, which is actually in some ways a little bit scary, because I'm like, no, I feel like I need a 5-year plan. But actually I couldn't have planned this last 5 years, even if I know it's like totally beyond what I could have planned 5 years ago. So just let my intuition guide me to what's next.
And you're in the Newark area, is that right now? So you're no longer down in Essex, but you
No.
work with people globally, locally?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually live in Lincolnshire.
Right, okay.
Now. So yeah, I moved from Essex 8 years ago, but yeah, work sometimes with people in person, although not right now. But
that's
mainly
hopefully about to change soon.
Hopefully soon. See people again. But yeah, work with people anywhere as long as I've got an internet connection and they've got an internet connection, then yeah, we can work.
Fantastic. So before we finish today, as I ask with all of my guests, what is your top get a life moment tip?
I think it would have to be learn to listen to your intuition and then have the courage to follow it.
Yeah, a really powerful one. And you know, we've all got that nudge inside, that little sat nav that tells us whether something's right or wrong for us. You know, that little, you know, men might call it gut instinct and women might call it women's intuition, whatever you want to call it. We all know that feeling, don't we? Why do you think some people just don't take notice of it?
You know what? I think sometimes it's scary to follow it. Because I think it's Brené Brown says that living with following your intuition is learning to live with uncertainty.
Yeah.
And you know, your intuition will guide you to your highest good, but that's out of your comfort zone, always out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's scary, and you know,
nothing grows in a comfort zone, does it? Nothing grows. It becomes stagnant, like a stagnant pond, and stagnant pond is just one step away from not being here. So nothing grows in a comfort zone. You've got to step out.
You
Absolutely.
have indeed. Always.
Brilliant. It's been my absolute pleasure chatting with you today, Emma, and I know you will have inspired the people listening. We'll put all of your links in with this session so that people want to get in contact with you or get your beautiful book and start manifesting for themselves. They'll be able to do that. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. It's been a pleasure.